Hey everyone, today I'll be doing a quick review. Spoilers. I will have spoilers of Final Destination Bloodlines. I will before that though, I'm gonna just talk about the Final Destination series in general. Um, I love the Final Destination series. The Final Destination series is as someone who's always loved horror. I grew up on horror. That's always been a staple in my family. I Final Destination has always been one that has stuck with me for a long time and ones that I've always loved. You know that, and then also the Scream franchise and other franchises as well. Um, I I remember, I don't remember which one was the first one I ever saw. I think I might have saw them in order. It couldn't have been when they first came out because 3 of them came out before I wait, no, 2 of them came out before I was born, 1 came out a year after I was born. 'Cause, the first one came out in 2000, second one came out in 2003, and then the, 3rd one came out in 2005, 4th came out in 2009, and then the 5th one came out in 2011. Um, I haven't seen any in theaters. Bloodline was the first one I ever saw in theaters. Would have loved to have been able to see the other ones, but hopefully maybe they'll I don't know, maybe they'll re-release them. That'd be pretty cool, but anyways, um it's just always been something that stuck with me. Uh, and I love the fact that they grab on to like certain fears with like the openings that people already have, and then like make you afraid of everything and like look at everything as, oh, this could happen and that could happen because it has like a Rube Goldberg thing going on with all the kills and stuff. So the first movie, the opening of the first movie is a plane crash. That's the big disaster in the first one. And I've never been on the plane, but I am scared of planes because of this movie. Like it definitely is a part of why I am scared of ever having to go on a plane. It definitely will be something that I will think about if I go on a plane for sure. I really like this sequence. It isn't like the other movies because in the other movies after this one, the deaths are pretty individualized, but they don't do that with this one, and it is the first one, so it makes sense that they didn't really see like the full potential of that. You know what I'm saying? So in the first one, there's a plane crash. Alex is the visionary, which I love Alex as a visionary. He is kind of stupid, honestly, sometimes because throughout the whole movie, he makes himself look so incredibly suspicious, and I have to dock him a couple points because of that, honestly. But yeah, I think he's a great visionary. I think Devin Sawa did a great job playing him. I love Clear as his like right hand person because like every visionary in the movies have like their right hand person that follows them. Every movie ends in a trio as well because Carter, that dick in this movie because he's kind of a dick. Uh, he's like the person that ends with them. um, I think that I like the kills in this movie. I think they're good. They're not as gory as we will see as the movies go on, but they're great though. I shout out to Todd. Someone said this. I saw this on TikTok, but no, it wasn't on TikTok. It was on the comment section of another video about this. They said, shout out to Todd, who has the only kill that looks like it was self inflicted because unfortunately his kill does look like he offed himself. Um, but I actually like the sequence up to it, and it is very brutal, especially to the point where you see like his eyes like turn like red and stuff. It's really sad that he had to die for because I actually really liked his relationship with Alex. Like you can tell that him and Alex were very close. So it's like it's very sad. It was very sad, honestly. Then you have also I think he's the only visionary. I have to go back to when they go to like the funeral after the plane does explode when they're all at the funeral. I think he's the only visionary that's like treated horribly because of it. Like the only one that's like looked at as like a like a bad omen and all that stuff. I mean, Todd believed him because like they're best friends. Todd believed him, but Todd's dad was like very, very like pissed at it because his other son died. Um, the teacher, Miss Luton, she's like upset. She's like, "You scare me. Get away from me." Carter's still being a dick, and all that for no reason. And then like Billy, Stifler, Sean, what's his name? Sean Michael Scott. How he treats him like he's some sort of fucking like psychic or something or whatever. But like this is the only like visionary street, at least from what I remember, because it's been a minute since I've seen the other movies, especially the fourth one. But we'll get to that one. um, but yeah, then we have like I said, he makes himself look suspicious because he keeps trying to go to save them. Like he goes to Miss Luton's house and tries to like save her or whatever. And she's like scared because she's looking out the window and he's like standing there and she's like literally so terrified. But her death is like a huge Rube Goldberg effect. Basically, she's about to drink tea, but then she realized the cup is like the cup from the school and it scares her. The school that they were at, then she puts I don't know if it's vodka or something. I can't remember. Wine, puts it in there, and because it's cold and the temperature difference, it breaks. As she's walking with it, it spills. She goes to her computer. Some of it spills in the computer. Then the computer explodes. A piece of glass goes into her neck, and then she like takes it out, and it's like squirting. Then she goes into the kitchen. Then she falls, and she tries to grab like a towel from like that's sitting on the knives, but then it brings down one of the knives and it goes into her chest. And then Alex goes into the goddamn kitchen with his dumb ass and grabs the knife. And the thing is that has happened in several horror movies I've seen. Like that has happened in several fucking horror movies I've seen where someone finds someone that was stabbed and for some reason grabs the knife. I have never understood that. That's something that's never made any sense to me. You know, I understand. I don't know what I do in a situation like that. Hopefully, I never have to encounter a situation like that. But why would you grab the knife? Then the cops come. They take him. The cops come because the cops are following him as well. The big thing is that the cops are following him, and all this. Then they go Claire. He's talking to Claire because Claire also like has some sort of clairvoyance too as well. Um, they go. He tells Carter that Carter's next. Carter doesn't believe it. He drives them. He drives him, Alex, Claire, and Billy on the like train track, and he doesn't care because I guess because you know his girlfriend died. She got hit by a fucking bus because she was backing up and got hit by a bus, and he's just like I don't care anymore because his girlfriend's gone. And but then the train is coming, and Carter tries to come out, but then everything is stuck. He can't drive the car because it is supposed to be his turn. But then Alex takes him out, and then Billy immediately gets decapitated because he was next. But then there's a big whole thing that happened with Clear with fire and electrocution. But then she gets saved. They go to Paris finally. Her, Carter, and Alex go to Paris finally. And then Alex is about to get hit by a car, but then Carter saves him. And then a big sign comes and hits Carter, and it like cuts. It cuts. It doesn't show, but it cuts. And that's like the first one. I think it's a very solid movie. I just think the reason why I can't put it at the top personally is because it hasn't reached the full potential of Final Destination film, and that's unfortunate because it is a great movie. You know, it's unfortunate because like it isn't its fault. You know, it's the first film, but like you know, then the second movie, the Visionary Kimberly, and the whole thing is the most iconic opening out of the whole franchise and the best one for sure. It's the whole road collision with the log trucks. I think that the log trucks. I don't even think the log trucks was a fear before this movie. I think that this movie created that as a fear. I saw someone talking about this when they talked about the movies. When they talked about, I think they thought it was specifically them ranking the premonitions, and they said that they think that this wasn't a real fear until this movie. And I 100% believe that as someone who lives in the South and has rode down like highways. I've always been horrified of highways. I literally have always been so scared of 18 wheelers. I can't even begin to explain to you. I've always been scared of 18 wheelers. So this scene definitely terrified me when I was younger. Um, I think it is definitely the best opening, and this is when you do see the individualized deaths. Um, you see someone get hit by a car. I mean, truck that's on fire. You get to see this dude that is right because one of the main people ride a motorcycle, and he gets like hit by his motorcycle. There's a lot of explosions. And then Kimberly as a visionary. A lot of people don't like Kimberly because of the way that because Clear is in this one because she was in like an insane asylum, and she comes back. And Kimberly goes to see her, and Clear is basically like, "Well, you're just gonna have to save yourself." Because at first she doesn't want to go because she's like, "Well, what about my life? If I go out there, bitch, I'm gonna die." Like, like that's still coming after me. And then Kimberly's like, "You're a coward for not wanting to save us. You have an obligation." And a lot of people don't like that she said that, but I kind of see both sides though. Because when you think about it, really, what does Claire have to lose? Like, she literally has nothing to lose. She doesn't have any family. You could tell in the first movie that her family didn't care about her. She didn't have, she didn't have any family. That still is coming after her no matter what. And she's just sitting here in this institution and basically going insane. And she has nothing to live for, really. You know what I mean? But then again, I kind of get it on Claire's side because it's like, like, I really technically she doesn't have an obligation to do it, but she does leave, and she does die. They go having to save someone, and she does, and he having to save someone in the hospital. She tries to go see someone in the hospital, and then she does get fired. And you can tell that that's how she was supposed to die, anyways. She was always supposed to die by fire. Um, but Kimberly ends up she. But one thing I will give Kimberly points for sure was the fact that she did sacrifice her life, though, because at the end she realized that she has to kill herself to save. Because the only one left at that point is her and Officer Burke. Um, and so she has to go. She has to go. She dies by drowning herself, and she comes back, and then they both live. Um, but at the end, this kid, because they're at a barbecue, and then this kid dies because one of the other main people had saved him earlier. So then he ends up dying. I think the second one is pretty solid. I think it is a step up from the first one. I really like the deaths in the second one. I like the one um, with I love Rory's death. It's kind of outrageous as it is. I love it. It's definitely very in the Final Destination spirit, where he gets like something exposed and then a like wire comes at him and it like cuts his body into a bunch of pieces. It's so good. It's done so well. I really like uh the mom's death. What's her name? Nora. Her death. How she is gets stuck into an elevator, which is something I'm horrified of elevators. Like you don't even understand. I'm fucking terrified of elevators. I've always hated elevators. I hate elevators so much. uh and she gets stuck in the elevator because she gets scared because there's a dude in hooks in there. Gets one of the hooks gets stuck to her hair, and she's like freaking out, and she tries to leave, and her hair gets stuck, and then it gets cut off. And it's dude, the scene where what's his name from Living Single? I cannot remember what his name was. I don't remember what his name was in the movie or his real name, but he's like terrified because at first he didn't believe all of the stuff that was happening. He didn't believe it, and then you could see just the part of her head. You could see her eyes red, and he's like horrified. It's so scary. That's like a really scary like image. But I think it's a great movie. I think that one's solid. I think it definitely is a step above the first one. The third one, my Shayla. The third one, my beloved. Final Destination 3, my beloved. I fucking love the third movie so much. Like you guys don't even understand. I love Wendy as a visionary. I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Um, I love the kills, the tanning bed death. The tanning bed death is so iconic and so great. I love it so much. I love everything. This whole sequence. I love that they play Love Roller Coaster. I love that song. Every time I hear that song, I think of this movie. Basically, a bunch of kids they're about to graduate, go on a trip to a carnival. They go on a roller coaster. The roller coaster, a bunch of it breaks. Everybody dies. They get out, but then Wendy's boyfriend doesn't get out. Wendy's boyfriend and her right hand man Kevin, um, his girlfriend dies. They both die in the thing, and so Wendy and Kevin have to team up, and they have to save everyone. But the first death is a tanning bed death with the ashes. I love that death is so iconic. I love the I just have to say fucking um awesome jobs to the to the girls in that scene. Like they are great actors. Like it really feels so visceral. Like them screaming for their life, they're being burned alive. Like it's really so visceral. And I love when they show them burning and they transition to the caskets. What's another death? Also the pervert Frankie, I really like his death. I like the way because it basically a truck like crashes into his car and then like the engine comes out and like fucking like chops his head. Then you have what's another death when Lewis dies in the gym. Dude, that scene is so intense because they're like in the gym, everybody's working out, and it's so like over masculine, and he like is and Lewis is one of those people that's like I don't care, like none of this shit's real, like this is bullshit, y'all are crazy, and then he gets his head smashed by the weights. Ian and Aaron, I love them, are goths. I love them so much. I wish they had more goths in the franchise. That's like one of my big critiques. Actually, I love Ian and Aaron so much. I wish Aaron had more screen time, but Ian gets saved by Wendy at this department store that him and Aaron are working at, and then Aaron immediately falls back into a nail gun and gets bro. I This is one of my favorite deaths actually too. It's actually so crazy, man. Like genuinely. And then Ian gets upset because he thinks that it's like Wendy's fault that Aaron dies, and then he tries to go um like get her at the carnival, their town carnival, and then go and then he dies. He gets hits by a sign. And then initially the movie was supposed to end here with Wendy's sister, who actually was on the roller coaster and she didn't know it. Wendy's sister and with Kevin and her, they were supposed to actually. This was actually the movie was actually supposed to stop right here, and that was supposed to be the end, but it didn't do good in test screening. So it didn't do good in the test screening. So they decided to add an end part where they were. I think it was 5 months later, where they were in New York because Wendy went to New York for school, and they she has this vision at the train crashing and them all dying, and then it's too late and they can't get out, and then they die. A lot of people didn't, for some reason, didn't think that Wendy died because technically they didn't show it. Clearly she did. I don't understand. As much as I love Wendy, like, that's my girl, but like, come on, look, she obviously died. Like she clearly died there. Um, then we have the Black Sheep, the fourth movie. Dude, this movie, dude, I have a personal beef with this movie. I'm sorry, I really do because it's so bad. It's really like a parody of Final Destination. It's like if there was like a movie, like a movie, and they had like a fake movie in the background, and they had like a movie making fun of Final Destination, that would be the movie in the background. That's literally what it feels like. The characters are awful. The main two characters are boring. I agree that the main two characters in I just watched a video of someone talking about Final Destination 2 and saying that Kimberly and Burke are boring, and I honestly kind of agree. I do give Kimberly points though for risking her life. I do give her points for that, but I do think they're kind of boring. The main two people, because the visionary in this movie is Nick, and he has his girlfriend Lori as like his right hand man, and they're boring. They're boring. The main friend group, because it's them, because the four of the people who survive is Nick, his girlfriend, and then their friends Janet and Hunt, and they're all boring characters. None of the characters are interesting. The CGI is fucking awful. It's god awful. It's two packs of ass. It's terrible. The CGI is awful. Then which is so crazy because when you think about how this was in 2009, the second was in 2003, and in the log truck scene, this in the log truck in the scene where they bounce on the ground when you first see them, that happened. That was CGI, but that looked real though. It actually looked real. They actually wanted it to be real. They wanted it to be practical, but it wouldn't work, so they had to do it CGI. But that looked real. But then in the 2009 movie, the CGI looks so bad. The opening sequence. First of all, it being at a racetrack is not relatable because like not everybody goes to racetracks. I would never be caught dead, pun intended, at a racetrack. Never would be. And just they don't. And the fact that the main thing that ruined this movie when it comes to the deaths and the effects and stuff is because it was 3D. The fact that it was supposed to be made for 3D is what ruined it. Is what helped ruin it. Um, and all the deaths that happen are just completely uninteresting. You know, they're just not good at all. Um, Another thing that I hate is that the unnecessary racism in this movie. That's one of my biggest problems, honestly. Something that really brings this movie down. One of the main people that survive. He's the first one to die though, but one of the main people that survive. His name is Carter, and he literally when you first see him, you see that he has a fucking swastika tattoo. Like, come on, bro. Like, really, bro. Like they have assholes in the other movies, but like, why did it have to be this like hard hitting? Oh yeah, look at him. He's a piece of shit. He has a Nazi. He has a swastika tattoo, and he calls this black guy the N word. Like, what? That's so unnecessary. That was so stupid. Like, oh my god, it's so fucking dumb. And just because the black guy who's a security guard, who is one of the people that survived, one of the main people, wouldn't let him go back in. The reason why he gets killed is because he's trying to go and burn a cross on this man's yard. Like, what is even the point? Like, what is even the point of that? Um, and um, then there's also a scene later on when they're in a hospital when they try to save someone they initially didn't know didn't die. Um, there's a scene where there's this nurse and this older white man, and he's like making a bath for him. And the older white man is like, and the nurse is Japanese. And the white man's like, I killed a bunch of you in the war. And I'm guess talking about the Vietnam War. But so the nurse is like, I'm Japanese. And the white man is like, well, who cares? You're all the same, or something like that. It's like, what's the point of that, bro? They literally added nothing to the movie. Like, literally added nothing. What is the point of that? And also, speaking of that, that death was so stupid. It wasn't even like a Rube Goldberg type of death. He just let the nurse just let the water overflow, and then the tub fell through and killed the cowboy. It wasn't even like same with the way the black man dies. He just got ran over by an ambulance. That's it. Like, damn, that's it. um, then then you have Nick has this whole premonition of this of the mall going exploding or whatever. This is one of the only good sequences in this movie where Lori gets caught in the escalator and she gets like squeezed like a fucking toothpaste tube, and it's actually really well done. I actually really like that sequence. Um, Same with the sequence that happened earlier when they were saving Janet in the car wash because she almost died. I actually like the sequence there as well. But those are like the only good parts of the movie, honestly. But then he ends up saving them from the mall in the mall accident. Then they end up in a coffee shop at the end and they get smashed by a truck. And that's it. Awful movie. Literally so bad. And such a disgrace to the Final Destination franchise. Which is crazy because I heard that the same person that made the second movie made that one. Somehow. Um, so the fifth movie. The fifth movie is one of my favorites. It's in my top two, top three. I don't know. I don't know. It basically starts where they're like a bunch of coworkers, like people working, going on a work trip, and they go on this bridge. The bridge collapses. Um, it's one of my biggest fears is bridges, so this one did get me. I hate bridges so much. One thing I really like about this one, first of all, the bridge collapse looks really good. The deaths are really good in this in the sequence. One thing I do love about this movie is there is a long intro. I think this one has one of the longer intros to the characters, where you get to know the characters. We get to know Molly, who's Sam's girlfriend, where initially she was breaking up with him, but then you find out later it's because he wanted to stay with her instead of going to Paris for a job because he's a cook. And that's why actually one of my favorite things about this movie is Molly and Sam's relationship. I actually really like it. I think it's one of the strongest parts of this movie. I think the trio in this movie that we end on is him, Molly, and Peter. And I think that trio is actually really good. With the way the characters are written, I like the what was I gonna say? I like the way the character they did with Peter's character as well, because his the first person that dies in this movie is his girlfriend Candace, and her death is very good. It's one of my favorites. Where this whole sequence because she's in gymnastics and they basically keep you on your toes because you don't know what's gonna happen because a nail falls on the bar and then you think she's gonna hit it, but then she doesn't. Then she goes to the I don't know what it's called, but the ones they swing on. She goes there, and then the next girl that's on the bar, she steps on the nail, she falls into like the powder, and then it gets in Candace's face, and she like flips and gets folded like a pretzel, bro. It's so good, man. It is so good. It is one of the best deaths out of the entire series. Like it is so good, not just because of the death itself, but because of the build up. It's so good. And then after that, Peter starts to go insane, basically and starts to because Tony Todd's character, may he rest in peace. Valentine's character, he says, Bloodworth, he says, that you can kill someone and take the rest of their life, like kind of replace them. And so Peter starts to go crazy because you find out that because in the initial premonition, Molly doesn't die, or at least we don't see her die. Sam dies, but and wakes up from it before we see Molly die. You know, so then he's like, "Oh, Molly lives," and then Peter acts like it's his fault that Molly lived, even though he can't control the premonition. And so Peter starts to go crazy, basically. And then towards the end, when they're at the restaurant Sam works at, he tries to kill Molly and take her life. And I like the way they did that because it's kind of similar to what they were doing, with what they did with McKinney in the third one. I mean McKinley in the third one, but it was done better in this one. Um, but he doesn't get to. He kills the police officer that was like following him around, played by Courtney B. Vance. And then, but then he tries to kill Molly. So then Sam kills him, and then they end up going to on the plane to Paris. But then it turns out this is a prequel to the first movie. And dude, like it was done so well, man. It really was. It was done so well. I love this plot twist. So it was done so well. Also, another death I love. I love Olivia's death. That one really got me because as someone who wears glasses, that was really really good. I love the fifth one so much. I think it's very solid. I always see a lot of people put it in the second last, and I don't understand that. I'm sorry. But then again, I feel like the fourth one is easy to put at the bottom. But I think when it comes to the other ones, I think it may be kind of hard to put it to kind of. I think it might be kind of hard to put them in order because all the other ones are so good. You know, the fourth one is just undeniably really bad. But I see a lot of people put it second to last and talk about it as if it's bad. And like I saw someone claim that this movie had the worst characters. Like I understand some characters are like not much is done with them. Like the black dude, I forgot what his name was. Not much is done with him. He doesn't really do much in the movie, except like he accidentally kills his coworker that was being an asshole to him, and then he ends up dying at the end because turns out that coworker was going to die anyways soon because he had like an aneurysm or something. Um, but yeah, but other than that, I think the characters are pretty well done. I don't think they were bad at all personally, but yeah, I really like the fifth one. That's in my top ones personally. Hours have passed since that last part. But anyways, let's get back on track. Now we'll be talking about Final Destination Bloodlines, and I will be spoiling it. So if you don't want spoilers, then click off. Okay. So it starts off in the 1960s. Iris, is main girl, played by Breck Bassinger. The last thing I ever saw her in was when she was in Bella and the Bulldogs on Nickelodeon. Um, and I just found out the other day that she's from Texas. I didn't even know that. But anyways, she plays Iris. Her and her partner, I forgot what his name was. I think his name was Paul or Peter. It was one of those. They go to the Skyview. He arranged this for them to go for a date, and they go up there. Immediately things are they're off vibes. Obviously, I mean, we were watching a Final Destination film, so obviously something bad's gonna happen. Like that's just obvious. They go into the elevator. It's completely like packed, and the person that's like escorting them is like presses the button. It's not working immediately. He's like, this is like the third time it's happened. Red flag number one. Well, actually number two because the packed elevator is already one. Number two. Then he talks about the building. He says that it was built 5 months. They finished it 5 months ahead of schedule. Another huge red flag. But then they make it to the top where it's a restaurant there. They aren't able to get in at first, but then they sneak in. And then the partner, she puts a flower in his thing, in his like something on his pocket on his suit, and she pricks her finger. Another red flag, because that's something that happens in the other movies when someone pricks their finger, that's how you know shit's about to go down. Um, then you see they go out to the sea up top. Which first of all, I could never do that. I could never go in this building because I'm terrified of heights, horrified of heights. Um, they go out. There's a shitty little kid that's like throwing fucking pennies or whatever. One of his pennies flies and it goes back into a vent and it gets stuck somewhere in like the building. Then Iris is pregnant. You find out Iris is pregnant before because she's talking to like one of the singers who's performing, and we find out she's pregnant. She hasn't told her partner, but then she tells him he's happy. She's surprised that he's like excited, and they're excited that he proposes to her. She says yes. They go back and they're distracted. She's like they're distracted because of this. They go to the floor. There's a bunch of dancing on the floor. Um, it's breaking. The glass on the ground is breaking, and so it breaks. All hell breaks loose. A bunch of people fall out the building and to their deaths. Um, the kid and they end up trying to go through a stairway, but then it breaks. But then the kid still ends up going back down. But then he gets fucking hit with a goddamn piano. I did not expect that because this kid is like a little kid. He's like 8 or something, and he gets hit by a fucking piano. I really didn't expect that. Honestly, that's probably the youngest person we've seen die on screen in any of these movies. Then there's a fire that breaks out. Iris gets to the little kid who's actually the son of the performer that she was talking to. She gets to the kid. She tries to like hold on to him and save him, but then she falls. Her ring gets caught, and because didn't fit right, it starts degloving her finger, and it's like, oh my god, it's so hard to watch. But then she falls face down into like whatever this sharp. I don't know what it is. It's something that's sharp, and then as soon as that happens, wake up. But then it's actually someone else. It's actually her granddaughter named Stephanie, and she's in college. She's in her class when she wakes up from this premonition. Then she goes to her room. She has the dream again. She wakes up from it again. She realizes that she needs to go back home and try to figure out why she keeps having this dream because it's like messing with her school and schooling and stuff like that. Then we go and we see her brother Charlie and her father. She clearly is like kind of has a strained relationship with her brother because she hasn't been talking with him like she used to. Same with her cousins, so they go to their cousin's house. Um, and you have her cousin Eric, Eric, Bobby, and Julia. Um, Eric is now one of my favorite characters. Eric is another goth, punk, emo, whatever type character. I love that. Love that. I love that we got another one. I love him. He's like my favorite character now in the entire franchise. Like I'm so serious. But yeah, we meet them. We realize that we find out that Stephanie and Julia used to be really close, but then, like I said, she hasn't been really talking to them that much, so they don't care to even really speak to her. Bobby does give her a hug though, and then because they're all, and also distracted because they're looking around for Bobby's turtle Paco. But then Stephanie asked them about her grandma Iris, and then they're like really dodgy about it. They don't want to talk about it. Howard's like her uncle is like she was horrible to us as kids because she was like so scared about them dying, and it just traumatized them, and so they don't want to talk about it. But then her aunt Brenda, she tells her where to get information about her, and it's this letter that Iris had sent them, and it has her address. So she goes to the address. She lives way out in the woods, way out in the middle of nowhere, in like this house that she's like. First of all, it has a shit ton of death traps outside of it, anyways. You know what I mean? It has a bunch of sharp objects, and I don't even know why. But then she goes in. Um, Iris tells her like what's going on and like the fact that is after their whole family. And Stephanie at first like does. I don't think it's because she genuinely didn't believe it. I think it's because she didn't want to. You know what I mean? She didn't want to. She was just like, no, I have to leave. This was a bad idea. And then to prove a point, Iris hasn't left her house in decades. But to prove a point, she decides to step out. She decides to step out of the house, and then she to hand Stephanie this journal that she has with all the possible ways people can die and everything that she found over the years. And she dies right in front of Stephanie with something, I forgot what it was, but something that runs right through her head and like breaks open her jaw, and all the blood splatters on Stephanie. And she's obviously fucking traumatized by that. But she did it to prove a point, to prove to her that it was real. And so after that, they have like a barbecue at Howard's house, at her cousin's house. They have a barbecue there, and there's like a bunch of stuff that happens. This was one of the trailers. There's a bunch of stuff that's happening. This was the main thing that's one of the trailers. So happening. There's they're jumping on a trampoline. There's like a rake under it. Then what's it called? Like Bobby spills. I think it was Bobby spilled the glass. He broke a glass, and there was ice because they have like a thing for drinks, and there was ice there. And there's a piece of glass in the ice, and it gets into one of their cups. And pretty sure it was in Charlie's cup. But then you have all this lead up to Howard getting killed because he like steps on it because the glass drops into the grass. Howard steps on it, he falls, and then the lawnmower comes and it kills him. Like it goes over his face and like chops over his face and kills him. And so, and also there's another plot where Stephanie's mom is like, also their relationship is also strained because because her mom abandoned them because she also was scared about them dying as well, and that and she didn't, and she was afraid of being like her mother, so then she left. And so they real so then they go to after the funeral, after Howard's funeral, they come back. Stephanie has this whole wall full of stuff, that she got from that book from Iris. And then she's trying to talk to them about it and be like, "Hey, death is coming for us. Like, we have to take this seriously. Like, you guys don't understand." And everybody, nobody wants to believe her. Eric doesn't believe her. Julia's like, "You're turning his death into." She said something like, "You're turning our dad's death into some sort of fucked up conspiracy theory," and they're like really indifferent to it. Um, but Bobby's like, "What do you mean?" Like, I forgot what exactly he said, but he kind of, you can tell that he kind of is believing it or whatever. Um, then they go, then and Eric's the oldest, so she's like, "You're next," and whatever. So then we get another scene that was in a teaser where he's like in a tattoo shop and a bunch of crazy stuff happens. His nose ring gets caught on a chain, and we're meant to think that he died there, but he didn't because they're like driving. Stephanie and Charlie are driving somewhere, and then she bumps into him. And we saw that he didn't die, and we're like, "Wait, what the hell? Like, what was the point of all that?" and then and then she's telling him about, because there's like a dump truck, sorry, a dump truck there. She's like, "Oh, this could happen because there are kids kicking a soccer ball. There was a leaf blower," and she was like, "Oh, a leaf blower could like blow." I forgot she said blow like tell her the kids and distract them. They can kick the ball and hit you, and then you end up in the trap. And that's exactly what happens to Julia. She gets in the drug. She gets crushed by it and killed. And then so everybody's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then that's when they start to believe it. And then you find out that the reason why Eric didn't die was because he isn't actually Howard's son, which is funny because the actor that plays um, Eric actually looks a lot like the actor that plays the Howard, but yeah, he's not actually his son, and the mom reveals that, and it's so funny because he's like because it's clearly someone that he knows, and he's like when she tells him who his real dad is, and he's like, is that why he always wanted to play catch? It's so funny. So then they go to the hospital because they're trying to find blood worth because she puts because Iris put in her journal that JB found someone who survived. And you find out that that is him. He was the kid at the tower in the '60s that she saved. And they go to the hospital. They talk to him. He talks about how Kimberly is the only person that canonically from the second movie, she's the only person that survived. Um, so then he basically says because he's sick now, he has cancer. Because another thing is that Iris had cancer or whatever, but he has cancer, so he was just like, I'm done trying to beat death. And but the part right before he leaves off screen is something that Tony Todd actually wasn't scripted, and he just said what he wanted to say to his fans because he presumed that this would be his last film because he had stomach cancer, and he died from that, and it is very heartbreaking, like genuinely, and it really I think is a great send off for him and for the character as well. But then as that happens, Eric and Bobby go somewhere else because Eric's like, hey, I can try to kill you and bring you back, and you don't have to worry about that. So they go into this room with an MRI machine, and he basically try to make Bobby eat a peanut butter cup because Bobby is allergic to peanut butter. And then Bobby starts going to anaphylactic shock. But then the MRI machine keeps going up. The MRI machine keeps going up, and then Eric is like, his piercings start coming out, which is so visceral. Like his nose piercing, his ear piercing, his nipple piercings, and he even has a Prince Albert piercing. And dude, it's so crazy, and then he gets sucked into the machine with the wheelchair that Bobby was in getting pushed into him, and basically like the pipes, like the I don't know what it's called, but like the whatever the metal things that are on the wheelchair like poke in him and like he died. Like it's so gnarly. It's probably the most like brutal death we've seen so far, honestly. And then Bobby thinks that he's alive because he is able to get the EpiPen because Eric had an EpiPen. But then a spring from the vending machine comes out and hits him right in the head and kills him. And then it keeps turning. It's like it's so crazy, bro. So then Stephanie and Charlie and their mom try to go to Iris's cabin so they can like try to survive this. But then they break in the Darlene, their mom. She had like a motorhome. It turns over into this water. Stephanie drowns. Their mom dies. She gets burnt up because a fire breaks out, but then she ends up dying. Charlie saves Stephanie. They think that she died and came back to life, but actually she didn't, and they fucking died at the end of the movie. And with logs as a fucking callback to the second movie, because they think they survived, but then they ran off because the train derailed, and they died by logs. Like it's so good. I think that's a great ending. I think the ending was a little bit rushed though. I wish they would have taken a little bit more time for them to realize that they didn't beat death. But I think it was still great. I think it was very poetic. I in general love this. Love this movie. I think it was great. I think it was a great fucking movie. I think it's in my top three. Honestly, I think it was a great movie. I love the characters. I love the familiar aspect. That definitely was a very strong because I know you don't really go to a Final Destination film for the characters, but like I think that was a strong thing and definitely something it has over the other movies is that it has very strong characters. Like I said, Eric is my new favorite character. I love him. Um, I don't know if they're gonna make another one. I mean, this one has already. I think it's already surpassed the fourth movie because if you don't know, the fourth movie actually made the most money out of all of them, which is very unfortunate. But I think it has already passed that one. I think it's already past the fourth one, which they probably will make another one. And I just hope that this one, I hope it is just as good as this one, or even if not better. I was scared of going into Bloodline because I was scared that it wasn't going to be good and it might have been another four. But thank fucking God it wasn't. Especially since the fifth one ended on such a great note. Because I think the fifth one is so good. I was scared. I was like, oh, what if it's bad? But no, it was great. It was a great fucking movie. Um, but yeah, that's really pretty much all I have to say. I love this franchise so much. And I'm not gonna be mad if it continues. You know, um, I think that if it wasn't for the fourth one, it would be the most consistent franchise, like most consistent horror franchise like ever, probably. Like you know what I mean? But that's really all I have to say. Thank you for listening.